This is a lifelong vegetarian. As long as she smells raw meat, she will throw up. So what will be the consequences if this kind of person eats meat? The answer is addicted. It's because they've been suppressing meat for a long time. So they will not be able to control themselves once they eat meat. Today, this girl is a typical example. Her parents are both vegetarian. Therefore, Justine has never eaten meat since she was born. Whenever the whole family goes out to have Western food, they always order smashed potato. The waiter has accidentally added a piece of meat to her meal. So her mother picks the plate up and complains to the restaurant. But her parents couldn't be there forever to protect Justine. She starts having her independent life. Of course, she couldn't make sure that her future meals will be meat-free completely. After that, Justine begins her first semester at veterinary school. She is forced to partake in a week-long hazing ritual. Freshmen have to eat raw rabbit's kidneys as a welcoming. Justine refuses, stating her vegetarianism. Her family is vegetarian too. If they don't believe that, they can ask her sister, Alexia, who is also attending this university. She wanted her sister to prove it for her. But Alexia just picks the kidney up and puts it in her mouth. Not only that, but she also encourages Justine to eat it anyway. Later that night, she discovers there is a serious rash all over her body. She just keeps scratching it non-stop. Compared to the physical reaction, the psychological reaction is the scariest. The next day, Justine begins having cravings for meat. During a meal, she steals a piece of beef. And even secretly eats meat alone at night. Since these things start, if Justine doesn't eat meat, her whole body is unpleasant. The teacher is talking to her. But she doesn't care but chewing her hair. Meat is the only thing she cares about. Justine used to be a lifelong vegetarian, but now the meat is everything to her. In addition to that, she's in love with raw meat. Today, Alexia attempts to give her bikini wax. Because of being tickled, she can't stand it, so she unintentionally kicks her sister away. And Alexia accidentally cuts off her own finger. Justine freaks out and calls the ambulance right away. The doctor tells her to put an ice cube on the wound. But she can't find any ice. At that time, she stares at her sister's finger. For about 10 minutes. Finally, she picks up the finger, tastes the blood, and starts eating it. When Justine looks at her sister, Alexia is looking at her in fright. The biggest reversal of this drama is coming. After the sister is brought to her family by the therapist. She doesn't blame her. But even tells their parents that her finger was bitten by a dog. So that Justine won't blame herself. The next morning, Alexia takes Justine to a deserted road. But when a car is coming, Alexia jumps in front of it. Justine is afraid that her sister wants to commit suicide because of losing a finger. But when she comes closer, her body is fine and not injured. While the two people in it have crashed into a tree and died. When Justine is blaming her for this accident, Alexia has already started eating one of the passengers. Turns out, Alexia is also in love with raw meat. However, Justine is still aware, so she tries to stop Alexia. But what Alexia is saying makes Justine regret. She says everything she did is for Justine. She needs to learn how to hunt by herself. Unexpectedly, Alexia had a habit of eating raw meat from an early age. Furthermore, she has done something like this many times. Justine also wants to eat raw meat. But she still tries to suppress her inner desire, and leaves the scene. That day, Justine goes to school and sees a bunch of guys exercising on the court. Justine's craving for human meat grows. While looking at fresh raw meat, she even has a nosebleed. Then she sets the target. That night, she comes to her boyfriend's room with a beautiful makeup. At first she uses this method to distract attention. When she's with him, she can't control herself and wants to bite Andrian. Fortunately, Andrian has successfully avoided it. Andrian turns his face to her and everyone. No other way, Justine can only change the way. But to take part in parties. That night, Justine is blackout drunk. Her sister brings her to a room and locks it. I wonder if she has a grudge against losing her fingers before. Or she truly wants to change Justine. She knows how much Justine desires meat. But still puts Justine and another person in the same room. Expectedly, Justine is confused and starts biting that person. And this whole process is also recorded by her friends. The next day, she has realized that everyone in school stares at her, some avoiding her. Adrian shows her a video of a drunken Justine last night. Furious by what she's seen, Justine finds and fights Alexia. Holding hair, scratching each other's face. Alexia bites part of Justine's cheek off. Everyone is laughing at them. Even though they fight so hard, they still help and walk each other back to their dorms. At night, Alexia helps Justine clean the wound. But Justine has forgotten one thing. Which is Alexia's demand for raw meat is stronger than hers. The next morning, Justine wakes and finds her boyfriend dead. She pulls off the blankets, finding Adrian dead with most of his right leg eaten. Justine then sees a bloody and mostly catatonic Alexia in the kitchen. She now realizes what happened last night. After all, her lovely sister has eaten her boyfriend. Justine is trying to hold the anger. But she knows that it's time for her to control her raw meat desire. Alexia is imprisoned for the murder of Adrian, which is the best way to protect her and others. Otherwise, there will be more troubles. Everything is so boring that Justine doesn't want to go to school. She goes back home. There, Justine's father tells her that what happened is neither her nor Alexia's fault. Justine and her sister both inherit the disease of eating meat from their mother. That's why they have a huge desire for meat. Their father knows how powerful this disease is. He then opens his shirt, revealing scars and missing chunks of his chest. All of them are bitten by Justine's mother. Therefore, they have been controlled by not eating meat, and have to be vegetarian forever. But they can only be controlled for a period of time, not a lifetime. Sooner or later, they will have to get in touch with meat. Besides the things that their parents can do, they have to restrain themselves as well. This is the end of the movie. See you later.